Hi everybody, this is Bill Varney with your Saltwater Guide surf fishing report for Thursday, November 7th. Okay, let's start up north. Of course, we've had a slight drop in water temperature, which has affected the surf fishing up and down the coast. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's just first start by saying that we have a lot less coverage going on right now on the beach, a lot less anglers at the beach. People are getting ready for holidays, people are back to school, people are working, so we don't have quite as much information as we would in the summertime. Everything we're going to talk about, it's definitely out there, definitely biting, but in addition to that, I know there's more, we just haven't heard about it. So starting up in Santa Barbara, the first thing is the water has really calmed down and cleared up in Santa Barbara. The winds have been very light up there, although offshore over the past few days, but in general very light after last week's big winds. And the water conditions have been good with pretty small swells up there, so it's cleaned up a considerable amount. There's been some really consistent perch fishing up in the Santa Barbara area. They're all those, palm size perch, those like 8 to 12 inch perch up there. There's been a lot of those. They've been finding those in Refugio State Beach, where they've also been getting some really nice buttermouth perch. If you go up to Refugio, which is right by Gaviota there, you'll note that when you're on the beach, there's these finger jetties that go out. You'll see those at low tide. If you can mark where they are, come back at high tide and fish between those, you'll find a lot of perch, buttermouth, walleye, and barred perch right in that area. So perch fishing has been good. It's been good along the Hope Ranch area. It's also been good in Carpinteria at both Carpinteria State Beach and Santa Claus Lane there. So those have all been good. We haven't had a lot of reports on halibut, but I know halibut are definitely biting in the area. Traditionally, you're going to find them up by Goleta, by Black Rock. You're going to find them right by Stearns Wharf. And then another place that so few people know about is right below the Clark Estate on East Beach. So it's a little bit south of East Beach. Seems ironic. So at the Clark Estate, which was built around, I believe around 1900 by Senator Clark from Montana, they built on the beach what we would call hot tubs or bathhouses, little structures that had warm water pools inside of each one. I think there was 3 or 4 of those there. Well, those were fed by salt water. And so they had a pipe that went basically from where the cliff is below the Clark Estate out into the ocean. And in order to protect that pipe, they put in these metal berms along there with a pipe in between them. Those berms are still there today. So if you are to go below the Clark Estate, go at a low tide, find where those metal groins are in the water, mark them off, back up against the cliff, go back there and fish there. That is an excellent halibut spot, and some of the biggest halibut I've seen in Santa Barbara have been caught there on 6-inch flukes and 6-inch swim baits in white. So check that out in Santa Barbara. As we make our way down to Ventura, once again, the barred surf perch, the walleye surf perch, there's a lot of them down there. Been very, very consistent and a lot of fun down there fishing for perch. And then in addition to that, there's been a couple more 30-plus inch stripers caught in Ventura. So most of those stripers I've seen in the surf lately have been caught on Battlestar, or as we have here, or Lucky Craft lures, and a lot of those in this white pattern. White seems to really be the color, and it's been effective for both halibut and striper, and I think it's because there has been a squid run up in that area, and maybe that has something to do with it. So Ventura still remains good, even though we've seen a water temperature drop in that area about 2 or 3 degrees. I think we have a chance of it coming back up with the swell we're going to see out of the south, but in general it's been very moderate along the California coast, which always leads to good surf fishing. So when we make our way down to Malibu, once again, Malibu remains good. And the thing about Malibu over the last week is because we had these relatively calm conditions, we had offshore Santa Ana breezes, the water's been very stable there, very calm, and the surf has been small. It is a fantastic time to perch fish up in that area. And there's been some really good reports on big barred perch, a few walleye perch, and a few calico perch coming out of El Matador Beach, Pescador, Leo Carrillo, Broome Thornhill, and then all the way up to Point Mugu. So that whole area has been good, and some of those anglers have done really well in that area, fishing low tide, fishing near or from the rocks at low tide and waiting for the tide to go out, and then casting into areas near those rocks that they normally can't reach. So Malibu remains good, and I think it'll be that way for a while, as this big swell we're going to see next week will pretty much bypass most of Malibu. When we make our way down to the South Bay, the South Bay continues to be good, with some really big yellowfin croaker being caught down in that area. Haven't heard any stripers this week or halibut, but perch fishing from Palos Verdes all the way to Manhattan Beach has been really good over the last week or so. That's going to change next week when we see this big west swell come in. Really is going to churn up the beach there. If I was to fish in the South Bay next week, starting on Monday through Friday of next week, I'd probably get myself way down by Torrance or Rat Beach, right after Torrance, their beach, right next to Palos Verdes, and fish that area. It tends to mitigate the swell down there, make it smaller, and there's a real good possibility that some fish will move down that way, of course, to look for food. It'll be easier for them to find food. Down in Orange County, the walleye surf perch, the bar surf perch, those have all been really good. Once again, palm-sized fish. I've had a report from one of our anglers of over 30 palm-sized perch, just one right after another in a row, and those are all along Sunset Beach or Surfside, Huntington Beach, Huntington Cliffs, Huntington State Beach, down along the jetties in Newport, and then we're seeing those perch just south of the Doheny area, so and San Clemente. So all of those areas are producing these small perch, and I think in a very short while, when the water gets a little bit cooler in December, that perch size will go up, and it will remain really wide open, really good perch fishing, but the fish will be a little bit bigger. And at that time, and we'll talk about this in the future, it'd be good to switch over to sidewinder crabs, a little harder bait, a little bigger bait that only the big fish can get. So in addition to that, in Orange County, spot fin fishing remains good down there, and November has always been a traditionally good month for spot fin croaker fishing. That will continue into December, just as long as we have these weather patterns where we have a low followed by a Santa Ana condition. Often during those Santa Ana conditions, spot fin croaker fishing gets really good as they come close to shore with that really calm water, very little wind and calm water. They come close to shore looking for food. So that will continue to be good. And then down in San Diego, we really have very few reports from San Diego anglers, but the reports we've received is that halibut fishing down there has been really quite good. And once again, on the 6-inch swim baits, on the flukes using a drop shot method, or on the Battlestar or Lucky craft baits, those have all worked really well in San Diego. And a couple of the best areas there have been Mission Beach, and then right up next to the Ponto Jetty, where a bigger fish this week was caught. So that's our overview of the surf fishing report for this week. It has slowed a bit since last week, but I think we're going to see it pick up again next week, certainly on the south-facing beaches. And I really want to thank everybody for watching. Good luck out there and good fishing.